Okay, this video is called Throwing Baby Out with Bathwater. So the concerns investor visa change could lose New Zealand billions. And this is from NewsHub.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. Plans are underway to scrap and replace two visa categories which have seen $12 million invested in New Zealand over the last decade.
$12 million over the last decade. If you actually calculate it, it's a little bit more than $1 million per year. So if you really think about it, it's actually not that much. $1 million per year. Think about it. For an entire country, $1 million per year. Not that much.
The government claims the changes will put more money in the pockets of Kiwi companies, but a top immigration lawyer says the country could lose billions in investments. Here's political reporter Amelia Wade.
Wait, how do they go from $12 million to losing billions? Like, this is something that immediately, strikes up something, I don't know, something seems fishy here.
Hands up if you invested your way into New Zealand. Kim.com hands down one of the most famous, celebrating his residency with a bang. But how he got through the door is being thrown out the window.
Ensuring that those who choose to come into New Zealand and seek residency under this investor class actually add value to our companies, to our communities, and eventually our country.
The government doesn't like that half of migrant investment goes directly to shares or government bonds, which is what Kim.com did. So it's scrapping the Investor 1 visa, which requires a $10 million investment over 3 years, and the Investor 2, which is $3 million over 4 years.
Okay, so I have heard about the investor visas. I have not really known anyone that personally used those to get into New Zealand. So let's have a look at this. So there's the $10 million over 3 years and the $3 million over 4 years. Let me just get that right again. So we have the...
So it's scrapping the Investor 1 visa, which requires a $10 million investment over 3 years, and the Investor 2, which is $3 million over 4 years.
Okay, so $10 million over 3 years, which is around $3 million per year. $3 million... how much was it? $3 million over 4 years, which is just over $1 million per year, and they're going into company shares and government bonds. If it was up to me, I don't personally see the huge problem with all of this. There's famous prestigious schools that, take lots of donor donations in exchange for positions for students, Is it unfair? Yeah, I guess so. But does it mean a lot in the grand scheme of things? Well, probably not. It's one spot. It's one person.
4 years, and replacing them with a new active investor visa requiring $5 million, 50% of which has to be in active investments in companies. And there's a $15 million minimum threshold for non-active investments. There's also now an English language test requirement.
What exactly do they mean by active investments? They need to be a little bit more clear. I hope this video actually clarifies that a little bit, because active investment, what does that even mean? Indirect investment, I'm guessing it'd be shares or bonds or those kind of things, but active investments?
If you're investing in a New Zealand business, you need to be able to communicate in a way that adds value as well.
I think it is killing the goose that laid the golden egg. And
I don't know if I fully agree with the fact that if you invest in a business, you need to be able to speak the particular language, because what if you are just a shareholder? This is for example, can I invest in hypothetically a Japanese company? I don't really speak Japanese. I would like to invest in Toyota. Are they gonna say that, oh, you can't speak Japanese, I can't invest in Toyota? I'm not so sure about this.
Throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Immigration lawyer Marcus Beveridge says New Zealand may as well kiss goodbye to billions of dollars.
We would anticipate that very few investors will come to New Zealand under this new regime.
National says it's not just the initial investment at stake, but what migrant investors do when they're here.
They're putting at risk another $30 to $45 billion over 10 years on what really is a hunch, not based on any actual evidence.
Again, how do they come up with these figures? Like, in the beginning, they were like, you know, there are a couple of million, you know, on the line with the people that are using this method. And somehow it turns into a $30-40 billion industry. Like, how do they come up with these figures? Like, this is the problem I find with some of these news thing. They literally just pulling figures out of thin air. Like, you gotta question a lot of these things that the news side come up with. Like, where do these figures come from? Anyways,
I don't think I need to speak to migrant investors at this point to understand what we need as a country to grow our business ecosystem.
The issue is there isn't hard evidence about what migrant investors do when they get here, and the government says these changes will ensure Kiwi businesses benefit, but the gamble is putting off investors altogether.
you know what they do? I hate to say it, they buy property. Like, come on, like, they come here and buy property, and that's the smart thing to do, because in my other video, you know, properties are good investments in New Zealand, and smart people come here buying property. And now this is one of the main things that I want to emphasize. Don't blame foreign investors with the price of property, okay? Don't blame the foreign investors, because local investors are the same or worse, and they do exactly the same thing. Local investors drive up property prices, and it's just not foreign investors. And the reason why you can tell that is, especially during the lockdown period, you know, there's no foreign investors. You know, they can't come in. They are not allowed to buy up tons of properties. And what happened to the property prices? They went up. They went up like crazy. And who's buying them? It's the people that are already here, okay? The property prices are not, you know, determined by just a magical group of these overseas investors. They're done by everyone. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's driving up the property prices. It's not just this group. There's not the small group of people that just come in with their billions of dollars. You know, everyone is doing it. And once, you know, we realize that you can't just blame a group of people for putting up prices, you know, we can actually do something about it. Okay? And yeah, it's pretty much the end of this video.